Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zoe. If you don't know, now you know. If you're not new here, welcome back. Today I thought I would film a bit of like a reading wrap up from kind of June, July, sort of when I went home. I had a video planned of like going to a whole load of bookshops in Brisbane while I was home, and then I got COVID. So unfortunately that did not happen. So I thought I would film this instead. It's an absolutely miserable day outside, and in honour of it being good reading weather, to be fair, I thought I would film this. Some of the books I don't have here with me I left in Australia, but I'll put pictures on the screen so you know what the covers look like. But yes, let's get started. So when I flew, I was in the middle of reading Normal People by Sally Rooney, which people rave about it, people think it's amazing, and it is really good. But my mistake was I'd watched the show first. And so I kind of knew what was going to happen. I knew the relationships. It's really character driven, not plot driven. It's kind of about two people, Connell and Marianne, who kind of know each other from high school, are in a bit of an on and off relationship, and kind of how their relationship develops when they go to university and just kind of through their lives, and how they kind of always come back to each other. I got about halfway through and I was just going really slow. I was enjoying it, but I just wasn't really motivated to read it. So I put it aside because I wanted to get other things read. I do like it, but it's not my fave. I think I have to read another Sally Rooney book that I haven't seen the show for, because I think when I watch the show, unless it's my absolute favourite show and I know the book is gonna be even better, I already know what's gonna happen, so I'm not really as motivated to watch it, to read it, sorry. So this is a current DNF, but I think I will come back to it eventually, just once I kind of get through my physical TBR that I've got at the minute. So far, maybe a 3 out of 5, it's good, but I just wasn't really motivated to read it. Then I think I read the first 2 Heartstoppers. I have watched the series. I read these, well, I say read, if you didn't already know, they're a graphic novel kind of thing. I started these after I've watched the series twice through. I loved the series. I had seen all the things saying it was a really accurate representation of what the books were like, so I really wanted to read them. They're such an easy read. Literally probably got through them in an hour each. And I got the first 2 together, so I read these 2 first. I love them. They're so cute. They're such they're YA really, but they're just really wholesome and sweet. If you don't know what they're about, it's about Nick and Charlie, and they go to school together and they kind of start a little relationship. Even though it's YA, it kind of tackles some really big issues. It talks about coming out, about bullying, about relationships, all that kind of stuff. I love them. 5 out of 5 stars, which is a big thing for me because I don't like to say books are 5 out of 5. Even if it's incredible, I'll say it's 4.5 out of 5. But these were 5 stars. No faults. I love them. Would read them over and over again. Love the show. If you haven't already watched it and you just want a wholesome show, go watch it. It's so good. I think after that I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book I had sitting on my side table. Literally, I bought it in New Zealand months ago, ages ago. But from the reviews, I was so scared to read it. People were oh my god, it's a mindfuck, it screws you up. And so that scared me to read it. I didn't read it for ages. It had been sitting on my side table, and I took it with me to Australia, and I was like, you know what? While I'm home, while I have people around me, I'm going to read it. I'm just going to get through it. Controversial, but I haven't been the biggest fan of Colleen Hoover's books in the past. Not like her writing, just the kind of the plots aren't my favourite. But I was like, you know what? This one's a bit different for her. She normally does like kind of romance with like a plot twist. These were more, it had a little bit of romance in it, but it was more of like a psychological thriller kind of thing. It's about this author Lowen, and she goes to stay with this family where the wife was an author but got in a car crash and like a bad accident and is kind of in like a vegetative state, and Lowen is hired to finish this woman's book series for her because she can't write it. And while she's there, she kind of finds a manuscript of like an autobiography kind of thing from this woman, and it's like screwed up, so screwed up. Like, I was like, this woman is a psychopath. And she kind of, there starts to be a little bit of romance between Lowen and this woman's husband, which is also in itself a little screwed up. I was scared reading it. That's how I know it was like written really well, because I was scared reading it. I went and looked at like TikToks of what other people thought after I read it, and people were saying like, I felt like I had to look over my shoulder while I was reading it, and that is exactly the feeling of like, I have to like not read it for a second and just like take stock of my surroundings, because I was scared. Like, I couldn't read it at night. I had to read it during the day, because in the dark by yourself, not the vibe at all, unless you frequently read psychological thriller kind of things, but I don't. So it was very new for me, and it was terrifying. Having said that, the plot twist at the end made my jaw drop. Like, I hadn't seen spoilers for it or anything, so I didn't know it was coming, and it was like, it's one of those plot twists that makes you sit there and think over everything you just read, like rethink the whole book. For the writing, the plot, even though it terrified me, it was so good, really good. I would recommend it to anyone, even if you don't like psychological things, or like you haven't read that kind of thing. I think this is a really good break out of the norm. Normally I'm a light, fluffy romance kind of gal, and this was definitely very different for me, but I would give it 4.5 stars, I think. It was really good. Just like kept me wanting to read more. I actually forgot, I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. I did not realise that it was a trilogy. That was my first mistake. I read it, I bought the physical copy, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to smash it out of the park. I'm going to read it really quickly so then I can watch the series, because the series came out like the week before. I got to the end and there was like no real like closure. There was no kind of like wrap up or anything, and I was like, what? Like, there's stuff that I've seen in like the trailer and from spoilers of the series that was not in the book. That's why I realised it's a trilogy and there's 2 more books. So I will be going back and reading them. But if you don't know, it's kind of summer vibes, which was great because it's winter here in the southern hemisphere. It is winter. Seeing everyone on their Euro summer makes me very jealous. So reading like a summer kind of beach, summer house kind of vibes was great. It is YA, so it's quite an easy read. Is it YA? Yeah, I'd say it's YA. I don't know about the second books, how, like, what they're kind of like, but the first one's definitely YA. It's by Jenny Han, who wrote To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which I haven't read, but obviously seen the movies and everything. Really easy read, cute, nice, a bit of a love triangle between the main character Belly and 2 brothers, Conrad and Jeremiah. I'm sure you've all seen the TikToks of if you're Team Jeremiah, Team Conrad. I don't really have that many thoughts right now because the first book kind of doesn't really like get into the romance so much, but I think the second and third one do. So once I get through my books that I have to read now, I'm going to go back and read them, and then I'm going to watch the show, because I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made with this. I think I would give Summer I Turned Pretty a solid 4. Like, it was good, it was really entertaining, it was easy to read, but like, was it like incredible, blew me away, like my favourite book ever? No, it was just kind of easy. I started reading My Policeman in honour of the movie coming out with Harry in it. My friend, she lent me My Policeman to read while she was away. Got like 200 pages in, and then I got COVID, and I didn't want to infect the book for her. I wanted to like sanitize it, so I put it to the side and left it, and then by the time I kind of got over COVID, I didn't have time to finish it, so I haven't finished it. It's a little on the slow side. I didn't realise it's not like dual point of view where it's like chapter this person, chapter that person, but it like kind of is one section is this person's point of view, one section is this point of view, and then it like goes back back and forth 2 or 3 times. It's been a bit slow. It is also character driven, kind of like Normal People. It's not got a super like developed plot or anything. It's more like about the relationships. If you don't know, it's basically this guy, Tom, who's the policeman, and he is married to this woman, or is like seeing this woman, but also has kind of a relationship with a guy, and they're all kind of friends. I don't know how it ends because I haven't read the ending, but there's not actually Tom's perspective, it's from the two other people in the relationships perspectives. I found the guy's perspective a lot more entertaining than the girls. I don't know, there was just a bit more mystery behind the relationship, whereas like the girl, it was a bit more just like straightforward. So far I'd probably give it like maybe like a 3.75, which is very specific, but it's not quite like a 4. Like, it's not, I don't know if it wasn't going to be a movie, if I would continue reading it. It might have been a DNF if I wasn't going to watch the movie. So maybe by the ending it would be a 4. But so far, 200 pages in, I'm going to say a 3.75. I don't know how I feel. But yeah. I feel like there's pressure to like it because Harry's going to be in the movie. But we'll see. And then I read these I actually read when I got back to New Zealand, but I bought them in Australia. The last 2 Heartstoppers. They both are stuff that's not in the TV series. I think these are going to be the next series. Equally as good. The third one, they go to Paris, which is really cute. And then the 4th one is a little more, it's not like heavy, but it's kind of deals with Charlie has an eating disorder. So trigger warning, if you did want to read this, it does talk about eating disorders and kind of mental health issues. It's really cute. It's made me a little teary in this one, and this one's just cute all the way through. It kind of starts to touch on the issues, but it's really good. Same as the first 2, 5 out of 5. Love them. Can't wait for the next seasons of the show. I'm very excited. If you couldn't tell, I'm obsessed. And then lastly, I'm currently reading, I'm nearly halfway through, The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, which I had this one on my TBR for ages, and I saw it on clearance, so I picked it up for like $10 or something, and I was like, I can't go past a book that's $10. It was a little slow to get into, but I am getting into it. I think it'll kind of pick up now that I'm in the middle. It's not dual point of view. It's like multiple point of view, like it kind of jumps between 2 main people and then an extra character who kind of is separate. And then also it has flashbacks in it, which currently I'm finding the flashbacks a lot more entertaining. I think just because they're like kind of tell you more what's happened, but I am enjoying it. It's just a little slow to begin with. I didn't know if this was a sequel to something, to another book she's done, which is called The Binding, and I still haven't really figured it out, but you can definitely read it as a standalone if it is meant to be a sequel. It kind of gives the backstories to the characters anyway, but I have heard that The Binding, which is the potential first book, is better than this one. So that's what I'm... Oh, ow! I hit myself on the face. That's what I'm currently reading. And then I started months and months ago reading Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn, which is a non-fiction. It's about kind of just about different relationships with friends, with lovers, with boyfriends, parents, everything. I started reading this, I'm really not that far through, and then I just got really distracted by uni, so I didn't get very far in, but I was really looking forward to reading it. It kind of, some of it's in interview format, some of it's in like storytelling format. It kind of reminds me of Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, which I have seen so many people reading recently, and I saw really bad reviews for it, but when I read it, I loved it. So would highly recommend Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, which I think has just become a series, which really confuses me because the book is like kind of autobiographical, sort of, but the series is like a TV series, not like a documentary, which is interesting. But yeah, this kind of reminded me, same kind of vibes about relationships, about life. So I'm not very far through, but I am going to go back to this one. I just get distracted by fiction, basically. So this is still on my side table. And then, kind of straight up next on my TBR are The Great Gatsby, which I know a lot of you are probably thinking, that's a school book. Why would you read that? I did not read this in school. My class was one of the only classes that did not read this. We read some other war book and it was so boring and I just wanted to read this. The Baz Luhrmann Great Gatsby movie is one of my favourite movies. It's like up there. And so I really wanted to go back and read the book without kind of like the influence of like having to read it for school, and so then you just automatically hate it. Really cheap, $11 from Dimmicks in Australia, which is pretty good. Yeah, I feel like everyone has their opinions, but I have not read it, so that's next, and it's pretty thin. And then I'm so excited for the Song of Achilles. I've been wanting to read this for the longest time. If you watch Steph, I can't say her last name, Bohrer, I believe. Steph, I just call her Steph, my friends just call her Steph. It's like I'm her friend, I wish I was her friend. This is one of her favourite books, and I have wanted to read it for so long, but I wanted to have a physical copy, but I don't like the paperback covers particularly. I only like this hardcover, and it's a 10th anniversary edition, 20th anniversary edition, 10th anniversary edition, I think, cover of the book, which I could only find online for like $50. It was really expensive online. This was in QBD Books in Brisbane for $25 maybe, something like that, maybe $30. So if you really want this cover and you live in Australia and you want it for cheap, QBD Books, best find. I cannot wait to read this. I think that is all the books I read while I was away and kind of what's coming up next on my TBR. And then I will go back to my trusty Kindle. I took this with me to Australia and I didn't read a single thing on it because I got distracted. I will be going back to this. Hopefully I get a good number of books read during semester time. I kind of get distracted by uni and don't really get to read as much as I want to during semester. But hopefully I read enough and I'll do another reading wrap up maybe at the end of August. Hopefully I've read enough by then to fill a whole video. But yes, that is everything for today. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, comment which of these books you've read, what you want to read. I'm always looking for new books for my TBR, so comment what's your favourite book? What do I need to read? I could have already read it, but I would love new book recommendations. And don't forget to subscribe. I will put my Goodreads maybe in the description or on the screen somewhere if you want to follow me on Goodreads. That's where I kind of have all my TBRs, the books I've read, books I'm reading, all of that good stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.